Hi, I'm Jazz Obrecht, and welcome to my Talking Guitar podcast of my July 1986 interview with Steve Vai. Our conversation took place in Steve's Stucco Blue home studio in Sylmar, California. Steve had just finished recording David Lee Roth's Eat 'Em and Smile album. During our afternoon together, we went through the album track by track, discussing songwritings, solos, recording techniques, instruments, amps and effects, the stories behind the songs, and so on. At various times, Steve picked up an unplugged electric guitar to demonstrate his playing style. There's some especially insightful stuff for fans of the Floyd Rose Whammy system. We also touched on Steve's earlier projects with Frank Zappa, Alcatrazz, Whitesnake, PIL, the Crossroads film, and his flexible solo album. Steve's an extraordinary, articulate, insightful, and philosophical musician, and he shares some brilliant advice for other musicians. Portions of this interview were published as Steve's first Guitar Player magazine cover story. Okay, on to the world premiere of this recording. I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, I think it may well redefine the boundaries of rock guitar.
You really think
That's
so?
my personal opinion, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's this off the record, I think it's the most exciting thing since Eddie's first album.
You really think so?
Yeah, I think it's really going to have a big influence on people.
Wow. Well, that's exciting. Because when I did it, I never thought about laying any boundaries or anything. I just did what I do,
Yeah. Did you feel a lot of pressure taking the place of a famous guitar sound behind a famous voice?
No, not pressure. If I would have thought about it, it probably would have been a lot of pressure. And it's not like I don't feel like I was replacing Eddie or anything like that. I don't feel like I was replacing somebody.
No, not replacing, but there'll be inevitable comparisons. Did you feel like this was really the time to shine?
Well, I think this is one of my biggest stabs,
Yeah.
But I can't really think about it in terms of pressure, or else I'd never get the job done the way I think is best for me.
Yeah.
I probably would never get it all out the way I wanted to if I thought of all the pressure involved with it.
How does playing with David Lee Roth stack up to the other projects you've done?
It's completely different. It's a lot freer. I'm a lot freer to do a lot more things. He pushes
Really?
you to do things. He really likes to hear guitar played a lot. He's a big fan of guitar playing.
Huh.
And, when I think I'm just about to go on the verge of overplaying, he says more is better,
Really?
Yeah, he likes to hear it.
Did he give you any restrictions to work under?
No, not really, except the things that are, obvious when you're writing a rock and roll song. And then there's times where I thought I was doing too much, and he said, no, keep going.
Really?
Yeah. There's
Huh.
one song, Elephant Gun.
Right.
I said, well, listen, I want to lay out on the verses, man. I feel like I'm getting in the way of the vocals or something. He said, nah, just do it. I'll work around it.
Really?
I said, okay, great. And
Yeah.
it sounds great,
That's amazing. How did that gig come about for you?
Well, I had met Dave a while ago. Are we on the record now?
Well, I read somewhere it would happen to be in jail.
Yeah. Is this?
It's going.
Oh, okay, all right. I thought they were I met Dave before he called me in a pretty peculiar situation. But when he actually called me, I was on my way out the door. Actually, I was in the shower right before I was leaving on tour with Alcatrazz. I was going on a tour with Alcatrazz, and the phone rang, and I was in the shower. And I get out of the shower, and I'm literally dripping wet all over the place. And I pick up the phone, and it's, hey, man, this is Dave Lee Roth. And I had known him before from a little episode.
Yeah.
I go, hey, what are you doing? And he goes, well, I'm making this movie here, and I need some tunes. You want to come down and rap? I said, sure, We got together. I wrote a song that he liked, and I played it for him. And next thing you know, he asked me if I wanted to start a rock and roll band with him.
Do you remember when this was?
last July he called, and then when I got back up from the road, he had called and said he was looking for stuff.
Yeah.
And if I wanted to get together with him, and I said, yeah, but I'm going out on this tour, and I think he was sniffing about to put a band together,
Mm-hmm.
and I went out on the road, and while I was out there, I got so excited I wrote all the tunes that are basically that I basically wrote on the record now. You know, a lot of them
Really?
were written in the hotel room.
Now,
You
what
know?
did you contribute to the writing? Did you come up with words as well as lyrics?
No. Dave came up with all the lyrics and all the vocal melodies, like he always has in the past.
Uh-huh.
On all those Van Halen albums, he completely wrote all the lyrics
Right.
and every ounce of vocal melody. And I come in with the guitar part, and I come in with different pieces,
Mm-hmm.
and we work on putting them together. And you know, we collaborate. If there's a vocal line he's working on, I might say,
Yeah.
"Well, why don't you try it like this?" Or and if there's a guitar lick, he might say, "Why don't you try it like this?" And it's a really nice chemistry.
So for like Ladies' Night in Buffalo, what'd you come in with?
Okay, well, "Ladies' Night in Buffalo,"
Which I think's the best song.
you like it?
Yeah, it's my favorite. That
Off
one
off
and
the record here, I'll play you the demo.
Big Trouble too.
Oh, thanks. That I
Those-
wrote in a
that-
hotel room.
That's an incredible solo.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I really like that one too.
We played it over and over at the office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ladies' Night in Buffalo. We had the whole album was written, and there was a certain area that we wanted to attack,
Mhm.
which wasn't quite established by Dave yet. And it was something in a dance area, something that had a cool sound to it,
Right.
sort of a New York sound or whatever.
Yeah.
And I went to work, and I completely came in with with a completed demo, except for the vocals, And it was a lot. My demo was a lot more elaborate than what's on the record. Ted decided to chop a lot of the stuff out of it, which was probably for the best of the song. And we had all the parts, and the whole song was written, and we just exchanged some of the spots. Like the chorus became the bridge, maybe, so, stuff like that. We just rearranged it a bit, and then Dave just did his vocals on top of it.
It's interesting how that riff starts to put on space as it goes along.
Yeah. See, there was like 3 or 4 different guitars in that song originally, and when we were in the studio, recording that song, the band needed a scrap guitar track to lay their parts down with.
Right.
So I said, okay, let me try to play all 3 of the guitar parts, in sequence, all at the same time. There was one track just for solo stuff,
Right.
one track for the chorus melody,
Right.
and one track for all this stuff, so it all overlapped. And I said, okay. I threw on my guitar. I wasn't even quite in tune. I didn't really even play with the settings on the amp, and bang, one time through, we did it. And I was going to redo all the guitars later on. And listening to it, Ted seemed to really like the feel that it produced, just from sitting in there, no pressure, no anything, just bang, putting the thing right on tape. And of course, being an artist, I hemmed and hawed. Oh, I want to do it again, there's mistakes, blah, blah, whoop, whoop, And they convinced me that it was really beautiful the way it was.
You doubled part of the solo, right?
Yeah, the second half of the solo.
Did
was
you
doubled.
did you work that solo out in advance or write it out to double it, or how did that happen?
Well, it's funny. I started out with a completely different solo in mind, and just when the tape was rolling, I said, the hell with it, I'll just do this, and that's what came out.
Wow.
And then the second half of the solo was originally the first half, the sextuplets, and I thought, well, if I know what I'm going to do, I'll open it up the second time, the second half of the solo comes around to build it, add some speed to it.
Yeah.
Climax, that's, a high G, I think, or something that I'm stretching to. And double it, which always gives it a nice effect. So I knew what I was going to do the second half of the solo.
Did you use the same setup in New York and out here for your parts?
No. It's basically the same, but the amplifiers were different. The way that I worked this stuff in the studio, some things were done with a Carvin X100B amp directly into a cabinet, mic'd, and that's it. And then most of the other things were done with a Lee Jackson Marshall amplifier.
That's a Marshall amp that he modified.
A Marshall amp that Lee Jackson modified, which has a really nice sound to it. And then I had an amplifier that Jose had made for me.
Ah, the inimitable Jose.
The inimitable Jose.
He
and
must
unfortunately,
be getting pretty old.
He's a very cool guy, boy. he's really funny, and he really knows what he's doing, you know. And those amps both were used as a stereo setup, you know, for some of the dirty stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I had both of those amps set up in stereo. If you listen on a couple of the songs, like Shy Boy and Tobacco Road, I think it's the Jackson amp is on the left and the Jose amp is on the right, you know, and a lot of the other stuff is just a Carvin. But then for most of the stuff in New York was completely doubled. All the rhythm tracks are doubled.
What songs were done in New York?
Elephant Gun, Big Trouble, I'm Easy, Ladies' Night. You have a list of the songs on there? Okay. Oops. And Yankee Rose.
Why were some done out there and some out here?
Well, for a couple of reasons. First of all, there's a certain vibe to the power station in New York, and there's a certain vibe to New York, and there were songs that we felt, or that Teddy felt, would be better recorded with a New York attitude at the power station, and then the rest of the stuff would probably have been better, you know, the tracks cut at Berkeley in California, at the Fantasy Studio.
Right.
It's a matter of producer's choice and producer's taste. I think it was very wise what he did, and I learned a lot from it. You know, the overall. I think that if we would have taken the songs and recorded them all in Des Moines, Iowa, or something, they would have came out great. They would have had a different vibe to them, though. You know, like take a song like "Going Crazy."
Right.
It's totally a California sunny song, you know.
Oh yeah.
And it was done here. You know, take a song like "Ladies' Night in Buffalo," where it's got a more of a heat wave mood to it, or whatever. Yeah. You know, the room at the power station was best for the drums on that type of song. Mm-hmm.
One of the amazing things about the album is how well the rhythm section works together.
Yeah.
It's almost like the three of you could go out as a band on your own with no trouble.
Well, we rehearsed a lot like that.
Did you do much rehearsing without Dave?
Well, before the lyrics are written, you know, we sit down there and we piece the stuff together. And we try to get it tight before Dave comes down and, you know, does his thing. Or he comes down, you know, we help get the thing together. You know, he helps get the arrangement together. Then we work it up, and he comes down and starts doing his vocal thing.
What's it like working with Sheehan? Was there ever a danger of overkill in the beginning?
Well, there always is a danger of overkill. You know, with me and him on the same stage.
But it's probably the most wild pairing in contemporary rock, you know.
Yeah, you know, it's really funny. When I had heard that Dave was looking to put a band together, I don't know why, but I knew I was going to be in the band. For some reason, out of all the guitar players in America, I just felt, well, I just know I'm going to be in this band. I just don't know why, but it felt right. It just felt like it was going to be that way. And I knew he was going to call me, and he did, out of a clear blue sky, you know. Wow. And when I heard that Billy was in the band, I had seen Billy before play with his band Talus.
Yeah.
And I was pretty amazed by his, you know, technical prowess on the bass. And I thought I could never play with a guy like that, you know.
Yeah, that's what everyone kind of figured.
Yeah. I mean, how could I play with a guy like that? It's, you know, he's really good, and he plays like a guitar player. So I was a little reluctant when I heard that, you know, he was going to be doing the gig. But I said, I got to go down and meet the guy. I got to talk with him, you know, and rap. And upon rapping with him, and upon getting together with him, I realized that he's a very mature musician, you know. He's he respects me as a musician and a guitar player, and he respects what I do. And together we work things out. You know, it's there's places we set aside places for each guy to do his thing.
Yeah.
You know, and there's really no weird vibes or weird attitudes. I thought there would be, but there wasn't. And it just our relationship gets closer and closer every day. You know, every day we become closer and closer, and it's been like 10 months now. And you know, we say, well, look, in this part of the song, you know, he's going to shoot up and do his thing or whatever, and then and a lot of times we do the stuff together,
Right.
which you'll hear and see on stage, which
Shy
is pretty
Boy, for
funny.
instance.
Yeah, Shy Boy is all.
That's unprecedented as far as I know in rock.
Yeah, and that's what see. That's why Dave's a real smart guy. That's why he got Billy and me for things like that, you know. And it's funny. People think it sounds so amazing, and for me and Bill, it's not even. It's we're scratching the surface of what we're going to be doing together in the future. Honest, you know.
Yeah, I believe it. I've seen him too.
Yeah, and it works. We work together really well. You know, I'll tell you right up front. I was nervous in the beginning. I thought, how is this going to work? Then I realized that, you know, it's the guy's.
I think
mature.
it'll show a lot of people the potential.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. It's in a sense, it's like working with another guitar player.
Yeah.
You know, if both people know what's best for a song and a situation, and you got a good handle on it, then it's going to work.
What do you think of Greg's drumming? Was there much of it? He was from a jazz band, right? Maynard Ferguson.
Yeah, but you'd never know it. The only way you'd know it is through his ability to keep immaculate time.
Really?
Yeah. We auditioned 420 drummers.
Really?
Yeah. Something like that. Some ridiculous
Oh
number.
my God.
And all in private, all secretively, you know, because I wanted to see who was out there just in these clubs, because I'd go to clubs sometimes to check out musicians, and we'd see some young powerhouses, you know. When Greg came in, he seemed to have the best of all worlds, you know what I'm saying? A very good balance, I should say, of all the things that I thought the band needed. And that relates to things like attitude. Your attitude in a band like this is really important. And he's got an incredible attitude. We're going out on the road for a year, you know, and that's takes a certain type of mental balance, or should I say imbalance?
With Dave, yeah.
Yeah, right. You know, and once you're out there in a situation like this, it could get really crazy, you know. Actually, it's really crazy all the time.
Dave just attracts him.
He sure does, boy. I'll tell you some stories about the video shoot alone that you'll really get a kick out of. But with Greg, he was really, I could rely on him for the time, no matter where he is or what we're doing, no matter what's happening. I know that what he's doing is where the time is. And as far as rock and roll fills and stuff like that, you know, he's got it down.
Do the three of you play music that's really different from what's on the record?
You mean privately, personally, or together?
Together.
No, not usually.
Is it tough confining yourself to 4/4 after all that time with Zappa?
To me, I can play in odd meters just as well as I could play in 4/4. And no, I don't find it hard at all, because there's things that I have to do inside of this 4/4 framework that's different than what I had to do with Frank. You know,
Like what? Give an example.
well, now I gotta, you know, now I get to play, I get to express myself more as Steve Vai, as opposed to expressing myself as Steve Vai playing Frank Zappa's music.
I see.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Was there much trial and error with your parts, or do you more or less figure them out in your mind before you play them?
You mean when I'm writing a song or when I'm doing a solo? Or something like that?
Let's take both ways.
Okay. When I'm writing a song, my best stuff usually comes to me when I pick up the guitar and play it. I'll give you an example. Crazy from the Heat, or Going Crazy, I'm sorry. The song Going Crazy?
Yeah.
Like that. I picked up the guitar and played it, and that was it.
You just start finger picking the intro?
Yeah. I was thinking of, there was a song out on the radio, I think it was Dire Straits song. Or what had happened, I was working with Ry Cooder,
Uh-huh.
you know, on this movie,
Right.
and he inspired me a lot because I'd sit there and be going, I'd be playing all these notes and stuff, and Ry would sit down and he'd start tapping his foot, and he'd be playing these grooves that I felt like I was embarrassed. You know, God, man, this guy knows where the beat is. This
Yeah.
guy's got serious soul. You know, you ask him to play 30-second notes, you know, in 10/16 time or something, and forget it. But he didn't need it. I was very moved just from sitting. One day he sat in the studio. He was warming up, getting ready to lay down a track or something. We were sitting there, and I couldn't have paid enough money to sit there and watch him do what he did in like, you know, a half an hour just sitting there playing. It was amazing. So he inspired me to finger pick like that. And I was just sitting in Dave's basement, picked up my guitar and said, I wonder how he does that. And I just started playing this lick that I used to pick.
Uh-huh.
And I used to pick with a pick, and I just started pulling on it, my fingers, and that's how the lick came out, just like
So
that.
were you using 3 fingers?
I used a combination of 3 fingers.
Then were you plucking the chords later, the part that
Yeah.
sound like sort of like Townsend or Angus Young?
Yeah.
Those parts?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then take a song like Big Trouble.
Yeah.
I sat in my hotel room, picked up my guitar, and played the song just like that.
The thing that's interesting about that is there's not any strumming in it, really. Everything you do is an intelligent, integral part of the song. Is that the one where Dave told you to keep going, keep going?
Well, no, not in that one. That was, you mean the structure of the chords and stuff?
Right.
Well, no, the way I did that is I was writing for me is a reflection of my state of mind at the time. You know, you're in a certain mood, you're going to write a certain type of music.
Yeah.
You know, I was in like, I don't know, Albuquerque, New Mexico or something. You know, it was a beautiful day out. I loved being on the road. You know, all my friends were there and stuff. And, you know, like 5 minutes before we had to get onto the bus to go to the gig or something, picked up my guitar and blam, the song came out verbatim.
Did you tape it then?
No, I didn't. I just remembered it. Yeah.
Wow.
And that's the way it happens. Then there are things like Ladies Night in Buffalo that took a long time. I pieced it together day by day, a little bit each day. I put something into it. It was more of something like Ladies Night in Buffalo is more of a construction.
Yeah.
You know.
Huh. After I noticed that in Big Trouble, whenever the guitar comes in, after his vocals, it's at the same volume. That's real interesting. That's not something you hear that often.
Well, what we did there is actually I was writing the mix on that because I know where all the fills are. So I was writing the guitar every time there was a fill. I'd throw it up there.
A few seconds into the solo, you get this real different tone. It's kind of brittle almost for a few notes. You know what I'm talking about?
Where it sort of sounds like an Indian from Venus.
Right. What's that? The source of that?
You take the bar and you turn it around and you pull up on it. I bounce the bar in my hand.
What do you mean you turn it around?
Most traditional ways of playing. All my guitars are.
It's probably better. It's probably better to tell me than to show me.
Okay, I'll tell you, but I'll show you too.
Okay.
Most traditional ways of playing the vibrato bar is in this position. Is in the position where when you're strumming, you know, you just take the bar and you push it down like this.
Right.
I have my guitars rigged so that I can pull up on the bar so the strings go sharp. And the way I do that is by routing out the back of the guitar here. So a lot of times you'll hear people hit a note and bounce it like that.
So it's going
So
above
I'm going
and below the pitch. Does it only work when you put it behind the
Well, you
behind the
can
bridge?
pick it up like this. But it's cooler when you bounce it.
So you pull it all the way back by the strap knob.
I'm not
almost.
pulling it all the way back, just enough to make it go sharp about a half step or a whole step. But if you do it real sharp and fast,
Mm-hmm.
it gives it a cute little effect, you know. And then the last 2 notes of the solo, right before it goes to the real fast thing, if you push back far enough, the guitar isn't set up this right now, but if you push back on the bar far enough, or if you pull it up far enough, the string frets out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So was that little mouse sound.
So the whammy bar is actually over the fine tuner of the high E.
Yeah.
And you're
You just
pulling
pull
it all
back
the way
up.
to the body of the
Mhm.
guitar down by the string, by the strap post.
Uh-huh.
Tell me about routing out the back of that thing. How you do that?
Well, that's something that Elwood did.
What's
It's
that?
my guitar tech. What you do is you route out the back of the guitar so the fine tuners can sink into the body.
So there's actually like 6 grooves cut in where the fine tuners can sink into the body.
Right. So this way the guitar will go sharper than normally. Some guitars you don't have to do that to. Then you have to route around the back here a little bit too, so you can pull up on it.
Uh-huh.
There's a big problem with the way I have my guitar set up, though. Just by the way, well, I haven't really found a vibrato bar system that's totally perfect. You know, I've come up with a couple of ideas to improve on some of them.
Uh-huh.
For instance, with the Floyd Rose, which I use,
Yeah.
the bar is able to twist around.
In 360 degrees.
Yeah, you know Shy Boy?
Yeah.
The solo in Shy Boy? It
Sure.
goes,
Oh, you're doing like windmills almost.
yeah. You know, and it gets really fast, you know.
What's that do, though, when you turn it around?
When you turn it around, when you're in this position, you push down on it, the note will go flat. When it's back here, it goes sharp.
Oh, I see.
Hear it?
Yeah.
So it's pretty funny, you know?
Very strange.
It looks really funny, too.
Yeah.
You know? You got to be careful. You might break your fingers on the volume knob or something. You go too fast.
Wow, that's
I go through Floyd's once a week. They're demolished. They get all chewed out here.
Where they screw down?
Where they screw down because I put so much. I mean, I take the guitar and go like this, you know, a lot.
You just
Yeah, really
beat
the heck out of it. And when it gets stripped in there,
the screw?
Yeah, the screw gets stripped with the tailpiece.
Uh-huh.
The bar gets stuck in divots, so it doesn't stay in tune. And I mean, the whole tailpiece gets stuck into certain like divots, and it doesn't stay in tune. And I go through these bars like they're nothing. They're stripped in a day.
Really?
Yeah. And but there's a lot of high quality points about the Floyd. You have the fine tuners, but I'm looking for a tailpiece that doesn't quite have the fine tuners in the way here.
Uh-huh.
You know, and a lot of the problems also with the Floyds is when you put them in, they raise the string very high off the body of the guitar, and which, you know, for me screws up my style a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I have this little blue thing here.
You do a lot of muting then? Well, how does it screw up your style?
Because if my wrist is too far down here and the strings are up here, I have to pick in this, you know, opposed to like this.
Okay.
I wish I could explain it better so that you can be able to put it on tape. Here, I'll explain it. When the strings are raised up off the body, and you rest I rest my wrist on the body of the guitar, in order to pick through all the strings and still have my wrist on the body of the guitar,
right,
my fingers have to be raised higher than my wrist is, because the strings are higher.
So it comes out.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's very uncomfortable for me. So rather, or a better way of doing it for me is to have the neck flat on the body and the tailpiece sunk in to the body. So with all my Floyds, I recess them into the body of the guitar a bit. And then another problem I was having is by resting my wrist on the tailpiece, it makes the notes go sharp.
Uh-huh.
So I came up with an idea to correct this. And what it was a piece of metal or some type of a shield that goes over the bridge of the guitar, of the tailpiece here, so that when you rest your wrist on it,
it doesn't hit the Floyd.
It doesn't hit the Floyd. But when you push down on the bar, the tailpiece will lift up. And I'll show you what happened. This is what they made. Now,
wow.
I happened to tell some guys at Kaler about it, and they came to me with this. It wasn't exactly like this. They made about 3 modifications on it and came up with this, which works really well. Now I can play.
We have to get a picture of that when we do the cover shoot or whatever.
Okay. Now I asked them to do it on a Floyd, now they can't because they're Kaler,
Right.
you know. So I'm working on having some people make me some things that are exactly like this on a Floyd. This industry is really weird, you know.
Yeah.
I don't really participate in the politics of the whole thing.
Uh-huh.
I just want to have things done that will suit my playing, and I want to be able to play the guitar that's right for me. I don't do endorsements. I don't do exclusive endorsements
Uh-huh.
because I don't want to feel trapped to playing a guitar that, you know, isn't quite right for me, or playing a guitar that feels good and then having something else come along that I want to play, you know.
What are the elements that would make the ideal guitar for you? What do you require that you might not find off the shelf?
Well, it's hard to say because tomorrow it might be different requirements because my approach might change towards the guitar. You know, the things I might play might be different.
Yeah.
What I need in one guitar is impossible to make because for what I'm doing with Dave, it takes a certain type of sound and a certain type of feel.
Yeah.
And then what I might do, you know, in another setting might be different. But there are certain restrictions that the guitar has that I'm trying to have worked out, like having 24 frets. Okay, I have a beautiful Guild now that has 30 frets on it. It's a beautiful guitar.
Electric?
Electric. The Floyd is sunk down. I mean,
There's a guy in England making the Sky guitar.
Oh, the Uli John Roth guitar?
Yeah, right. What's that have? How many frets?
I'm not quite sure. It goes up quite high, and then it goes into a little fretless piece.
Right.
I think.
Right.
That's what Uli showed me when he
Yeah.
was here with his guitar. And it takes a certain technique to be able to play on those small frets. You just have to practice like anything else.
Right.
You know, you use your nails to play on those frets. I got the guitar around here. I'll show you before you go. But, you know, the whole tailpiece syndrome is a little bit of a bummer. I think that the Floyds are closer to anything that I need, you know, than anything else that's out there.
Let me flip this. Do you have to do anything special as far as keeping your tuning straight with such a physical approach to the bar?
Well, that's one of the great things about the Floyds is they do not go out of tune. I can play a whole set with one guitar.
Really?
If need be, yeah.
What kind of strings do you use?
D'Addario, 9 through 42.
Do you do anything special to stretch them out before you put them on or anything
No,
like
I just give him the Elwood and he takes care of it.
He takes care of it.
Yeah, he stretches them out good.
What's your favorite guitar?
Well, it's a little perplexing right now because we were rehearsing and I had all my equipment all set up, everything that I was going to be using on the road. My main guitar was this hideous green Charvel that I have here.
Not this one here?
Yeah. I don't know why I like it so much. Probably because I've dropped it, thrown it. You know, I've done everything to it, and it still hasn't broken, and it still stays in tune. And it's so ugly. I mean, that it's beautiful. You know, it's got a personality of its own. Pretty soon, it's going to grow legs and walk away from me. But
you got to marry it.
Yeah. So this is the one that I carry with me. You know, we were doing Van Halen songs, which were tuned a little lower. So I had to use two different guitars, which meant that I had to have two spares for each guitar. So I took my favorite guitars, which was this one here. In the video, in the David Lee Roth video, I'm using this guitar. It's sort of like intergalactical puke. That's what it looks like. You know, it's got all these holes in it. It's this thing I designed that my friend, one of my best friends that I grew up with in New York, just made for me out of a block of wood. It's really funny. This guy's name is Joe Dispagni. He's
How do you spell that?
Dispagni, Dispagni, I think that's it. And he's a Harley guy. He's a big heavy Harley motorcycle driver, drinks beer, and he's like my best friend, you know. And he went to work on a piece of wood and carved this beautiful guitar out, and we put a neck on that. That was a main guitar. He also made me this Wild Flame guitar that is good for like a song here and there. You know, it's a little hard to play. So I had those two, and I had this beautiful Jackson. It was fluorescent orange with eyeballs on it, blue eyeballs. and
God.
it looked really nice. It was a very pretty guitar. And all these were set to my spec, so I can pull up on them with the bar. And,
Uh-huh.
and they all had, the nice pickups in them. Some had most of them had the Marzios. There was a Seymour in one of them, and a Bill Lawrence in another one. This one had a Bill Lawrence in it. And then there was these two guilds that I had, 24 fret guilds, that
Do
felt
you know
really
what
nice
model
to
they
me.
were?
No, they were custom made for me by Mark Drange. And one of them was black with pink zebra stripes, and the other one was cream white. Then I had an Ibanez that sounded really good. It was green. It was like a pukey green with the front of it was the front of it was like a pink, green, black snake skin. You know.
Sounds
And
real attractive.
yeah, it was wild, and it was all routed out specifically for me. And then I had this root beer Stratocaster um, that had a scallop neck on it that Art Valdez made for me many years ago. They were all down there, and they all got ripped off
When did this happen?
2 weeks ago.
At Dave's at the rehearsal studio?
Yeah. So I'm describing these guitars because I'd like to put some type of reward out for anybody that has any information to where they might be
Do you have
found.
any numbers for any of them? Serial numbers?
Yeah, I've got all the serial numbers. They're very easy to see. I mean, I don't see how anybody could,
Did this happen in like Hollywood?
It happened in Pasadena.
Yeah,
And two of
man,
my
give me
two
a
of my
list.
best Marshalls were stolen, and also all my guitar chords.
If you can give me a list of everything with the numbers, we'll just run it all.
Great.
No problem.
The office has all that.
What are you down to now?
Well, I didn't
You're
have
lucky
my.
you didn't lose that one.
I'm lucky I didn't lose this one. And I also had a pink Jackson that I didn't lose because it was another one of my favorites that I kept here.
Uh-huh.
So now I got those two, and this 30 fret Guild is really nice. That came afterwards,
Yeah.
And what else am I using? I've got my friend's Flame guitar, which I'm using. And pretty much I'm putting together my own guitars right now. I'm just going out and buying pieces because they have to be specifically made. You know what I'm saying? The body has to be a little thicker so that I can recess the Floyd. And we're in such a rush right now to get the guitars that I can't wait for anybody to build them. I have to build them myself or have Elwood do it.
Do you install your own Floyds and stuff like that?
Yeah, for the most part, unless somebody's building me a guitar and I say put a Floyd in it, they'll put it in.
Are your pickups selection stock?
Yeah, to a degree. I have these rigged. I love the sound of single coil pickups when they're in series, and two of them are on at the same time,
Like with a Strat?
like with a Strat. But I can't use single coils in these guitars because of the hum, and it's not really the right tone for a lot of things. So the way I have my guitars rigged is when I'm in the treble position, the treble position pickup acts as a humbucker. And when I go into the in-between the middle position and the treble position where both pickups are on, it splits the coil of the treble position pickup, which makes it a single coil pickup. Mm-hmm. And then this is originally this is a stack here in the middle position, but it splits the coil on that. So when these two pickups are on, they both go into being two single coil pickups, which gives it that real Strat tone. And then when I'm in this position here, it's a stack.
Straight up?
Straight up.
In the middle?
It's the middle position, and it's a stack, which is a humbucker.
That's a humbucker?
Yeah, this is a humbucker. It's a DiMarzio stack.
Uh-huh.
When I'm in this position here, between the neck position pickup and the middle position pickup, they're both single coil pickups, which gives it that Strat tone. When I'm in this position here, this is a double coil. This turns into a humbucker.
Uh-huh.
So I've got the best of both worlds.
Can you give an example of a solo or something that's on a particular position?
Sure. Take Ladies' Night in Buffalo.
Okay.
The rhythm part, the very first opening chord is in the treble position.
All the way down.
Yeah. The rhythm part is all in between the treble, in between the neck position pickup and the middle position pickup, which makes them two single coil pickups, which in turn they act as humbuckers.
Right.
So they buck the sound and there's no hum. And so the whole rhythm part has that Strat type of a tone to it. And then when I go to the chordal thing, ding, 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 in the B section of the song. I go in between these two pickups, which is a little brighter, but still two single coil pickups, which gives it that
Between the
strat
treble
tone.
in the middle.
Right.
Right.
And then when it comes to the solo, I start in the neck position pickup, which is a very warm sounding pickup, which gives it a, which makes it, in turn, it's a double coil pickup. You know, it's a humbucker.
Uh-huh.
So it's got that real nice mellow tone to it when it's overdriven. And then for the second half of the solo, I'm sorry, the second half of the first part of the solo, when I go into the, then I go into the treble position pickup. And then on the fast part, it's back to that. So it's back to the neck position pickup.
Going from neck to treble, what are those particular pickups?
These are DiMarzios.
Uh-huh. What's the red one?
It's a DiMarzio.
Do you know what type? What?
I'm not sure. Steve Blucher knows. He made them for me.
Oh, okay.
He was, when we were in the studio in New York, he came down, and we examined my tone and my sound, and we recorded many different types of pickups, all my guitars on 2-track tape, you know, and we compared the tones and we saw what sounded best. He went right out that night and wound me certain pickups, you know, to my specs.
Great.
Brought them back. We listened to them. We saw what they needed, threw them away. He went back and, you know, made the little changes, and now we've come up with some pickups that really sound good for me.
Wow.
So I don't know. They might be marketing them as, you know, Steve Vai model pickups. I'm not sure.
Did you record a lot of the album with this particular guitar?
I recorded about 80% of the album with this green guitar.
Huh. Did you use it for the flexible stuff?
No, that was my old Strat.
Oh, okay.
My original Strat. The other guitars that I used on Dave's record here is Pink Jackson, Guild. I used my Guild a bit.
And the two guitars you still have?
No. Oh, the Pink Jackson I have, but the Guilds
Right.
are gone. I used the coral sitar in a couple things, but it never made it to vinyl. I used a beautiful Guild 12-string, and I used a Fender 12-string. What else did I use? I think I used the Ibanez on a couple of tracks, a couple of background things.
Huh. What did you use for I'm Easy on the left side, the little comps? That
This
guitar?
was the green guitar. With this in between the neck position and the middle position.
Were you trying to get a 40 sound? It really came off that way.
Yeah. I just knew that this position here sounded pretty authentic to an old 58 Strat.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I went for.
The position between the
Neck position and the middle position.
On the very last note of the solo, how do you get that harmonic? Was that
With
a
my
side?
finger. It's not a harmonic. I just.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't even remember how I did it. I just, you know, it was just one of those.
So you tapped your finger on the top fret.
Yeah. You can do it if you give your tongue right on the harmonic. It sounds great. It feels a little tingly. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you ever do that?
Yeah.
Really?
There's ways of doing it. I'm sorry. You know, there's a harmonic that comes out.
How do you think this stuff up? Do you ever have strange approaches ever come to you just out of the blue when you didn't have a guitar and you just said, oh, yeah?
Yeah. I don't know. It's weird. You know, you're playing sometimes, or I can't speak for everybody, but I can speak for myself.
Yeah, right.
And I don't know what comes over me sometimes. You get like a burst of energy, or I'm sure everybody knows what I mean. It's like, okay, let's say you're just an average Joe off the street and you walk into a room and there's a putter,
Yeah.
you know, and there's a cup, you know, 5 yards away, and you hit the ball and you know it, for some reason it goes right in the cup.
Right.
You know, you'd scare the greatest putter alive, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just connect. There's something out there that you connect with. It's like if you take a little piece of paper and there's a trash can clear across the room and you throw it and it goes right in.
Yeah.
You know, you don't know why it does it, and you can sit and try it again and it'll never happen. You know, but sometimes you just know when it's going to connect.
Right.
And every now and then when I'm playing, that happens. You just know you're connecting, and it's a weird feeling. It's like I almost feel like I'm in a frenzy or something sometimes.
Hmm.
You know, for me, playing is a complete state of mind. You know, I can't, if you ask like, well, what did you do here? What did you do there? I don't know. You know, I could tell you, I could show you, I could explain,
Right.
and I could sit and figure out a solo and know it perfectly. But when I get in front of people and play it, I might do something completely different that's twice as good.
Uh-huh.
You know, you feed off other people's energy, and it puts, for me, it puts me in a state of mind sometimes when the sound is there, when everything's there, and you know the attitude is right. I don't know. I get so excited. I wonder if it's good for me sometime.
Really?
Yeah, because I get so excited. I just get crazy. I feel crazy. You know.
Really?
Yeah,
Do you
it's a
think you'll
beautiful
have
feeling.
enough room to do that with Dave?
Oh my God, this is the situation where it happens most of all.
Really?
Yeah.
You know, Eddie told me right around the time of Women and Children First that Dave told him no more solos. That's it. He's done with having overkill guitar. I still have the conversation on tape. It's real interesting.
Dave said to Edward, "No more solos."
Said no more solos. We're through. They all sound the same. Forget it.
Well,
So I've had an impression for years of Dave being this guy who doesn't like guitar that much.
oh man, are you kidding?
No, I'm serious. That's the
Wow,
impression Eddie left me with.
he loves guitar. I don't know. Maybe in the future, if all my solos start sounding the same, Dave's. I'm telling you, man, the guy knows what he's doing. He's real constructive. This
Uh-huh.
is this is my relationship with him.
Yeah, right,
I'm not going to speak for anybody else,
right.
you know. But as far as I know, I trust the guy, you know, because he's a crazy man.
Hmm.
He's out of his mind in a sense, you know, but he really knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
And I respect it. And if he was to say to me, no more solos, I would say, why? And he'd say, because they all sound the same. And I'd say, well, let's try to do something different.
uh-huh.
And he'd say, okay, let's work on it. If he came to me and said, you know, all your solos sound the same, I'd say, well, that's pretty good input. Thanks. You know,
Yeah,
because sometimes you're blinded by those things. You don't, you know, you need outside input. You need to read the reviews sometimes, even when they're horrible.
yeah,
When somebody says something terrible about you, above and beyond maybe their personal hang-ups, I don't know.
yeah,
You know, you have to take these things and read them because sometimes if you totally deluded to the press or to what your reputation is, your ego will tell you you're something else. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of touchy. So I'm my own person,
hmm,
but I'm aware of other people's criticism in a sense. You know, I don't let it dictate my happiness,
yeah.
you know, but I don't, you know, I don't brush it off and go, "Heh, he's an asshole," you know,
Yeah,
you know. And Dave would never say that to me unless there was a problem with what I was doing.
yeah,
Maybe I don't know what it was like with Edward. You know,
yeah,
I just know Dave has nothing but good things to say about Edward.
yeah.
You know, about his playing and stuff. I can't see why he would tell him not to solo.
Do you sense competition with other major league hard rockers?
Well, I can tell you honestly, on a conscious level, consciously, as I sit here, I don't. I don't participate with competing with them, but subconsciously, I can't tell you whether I do or not. I would suspect that somewhere in there, Steve Vai is a very competitive person because I do have an ego. And people, the way I see it, people are the same, you
Uh-huh.
know, wherever you go. They just express themselves differently. You know, I sit here and I go, God, I watch television for about a minute, you know,
Yeah,
and I'll watch the news and I'll see these people trying to run their, you know, run countries, and I'll say, why? Why do these people want to, shed blood for that type of a power?
right.
The first thing that comes to my mind is they're literally lunatics, you know.
Hmm.
Then I thought, well, it's no different in the music business, except for the fact that there's, you know, usually doesn't have to cause a murder, you know. But I would very much not mind being in the greatest rock band, you know, of the day.
Yeah,
And you know how you feel when you're looking at Billboard or something and your record is climbing, 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 and there's someone else that just climbs a little higher, Um, so it's the same thing, Everybody, I guess, is striving for something out there, and as far as being competitive, I try not to let it dictate me. I really don't feel like I'm competing with people because what they do is what they do, and what I do is what I do. And I think there's enough success to go around, you know.
Yeah.
Subliminally, like I say, I might be competing very much. I try not to make it a conscious effort, whether it's there or not.
Yeah. I think you've done real well at pushing way past your roots, whereas a lot of players get more stuck in what they've grown up with and learned.
Well, I take a different approach towards influences. I think my influences are the same as everybody's in the sense that what they are events. I'll try to clarify myself. Um, when a person plays an instrument, it's a it's a very personal thing because what they're doing and what they're creating is a complete reflection of their personality.
True.
Completely. You can't hide. There's no hiding when you play an instrument, when you create music. And why should you hide if there's, when you're a beautiful person or whatever, when you're creating something, what you create is what you are. And I've always seen it like that. What you are is a product of your how can I put it, your experiences in life, right? I was brought up a certain way. I went through certain experiences that shaped my personality, which in turn will cause me to play an instrument and create music that is a reflection of that personality. So my biggest inspirations, my biggest influences are events in my life. And I think that's true with everybody. I can sit here and say I love Jimi Hendrix and Jimmy Page.
Yeah.
They inspired me, sure they did. But what forced me to listen to that music? What brought me to that music? What brought me to be turned on by that music?
So, in other words, maybe your relationship with your parents or your family could have as much to do with it as who you listen to.
I think that everybody's relationship with their parents, their family, their friends, their high school buddies, the people who they work with, all these events shape your personality and shape your whole approach and attitude. Your attitude is a big part of the way you play an instrument. I sat and practiced my guitar endlessly when I was young. I still do. But I realize then, or I realize now, that what I do now is this best. What I do now is what the way I feel now. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that holds true with everybody. And you can have an event in your life tomorrow that'll completely change your whole approach towards life, for the good, for the worse, whatever it might be. It's going to change the way you approach everything. And in turn, whether you know it or not, you can still know the same scales, you could still know the same exercises, you could still be able to bend to the same notes, but they're going to sound completely different. You can go through the same amp, you can use the same picks and the same strings and have the same endorsements, but it's not going to have anything to do with the notes that come out in the music that you make.
You're a different person.
You're a different person, and that happens to everybody every day. I can tell you events right now in my life that happened that have changed my approach towards, towards music. And they've changed my approach indirectly towards music. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so there was a point in my life where I thought it was really cool to be miserable. I thought it was really cool to hate things, and to think that people were assholes. I thought it was really cool to go into a bad mood and be really moody.
How old
Because-
were you when you were doing this?
Oh,
Teen?
a teen, adolescent, teen,
Right.
up until like when I was 20 or so, I thought it was really nifty to be able to be moody and in a bad mood because then people around you you know,
Give you your space.
give you your space. And then I realized that being moody is just an act of your ego. It's a big ego wank, you know? And I said, and I also realized that it was a lot of fun to be angry. But I also realized that I was becoming a real miserable person by starting to hate everybody, and the world started to take on a real ugly glow. I said, I don't need this. You know, I reached a point in my life through the grace of God where I don't, or whatever, you know, where I went into, I don't know, I guess you'd call it a dark night of the soul or something, where it was like just manic depression for no reason. And I realize now that what it was all these things that I loved to do that weren't really good for me. So I decided that I had to take on a different outlook in life. And I can play you tapes of music that I had made back then. You wouldn't believe the same cat was doing it, you know? And what had happened, well, being really young and going on the road with Frank was, you know, was a bit traumatic.
Yeah.
You know?
I imagine
and
so. Goodbye school, hello life.
Yeah, right. And so I realized that, you know, I'm going to change my approach towards this whole deal. And I started appreciating other people's efforts, and I started looking at a person, a musician. I'll relate to musicians because that's who I'm talking to right now. But I'd look at a musician, I'd see somebody playing an instrument, and that guy would, whereas before I'd say, God, man, he sucks. His tone is terrible. You know, he can't play a note. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that guy, you know, look at him. God, you know, what is he doing up there? Now, or as I look at a person, I say, well, look at that man. That guy is, whether it's good or bad to whoever, it doesn't matter because it's relative.
Right.
What he's doing is he's trying to express himself, you know? And you have to be compassionate to the way these people, the way anybody expresses himself. So what I did, and what I still try to do, is to hone in on the nice things, you know, the beautiful things that a person tries to do. Whether they're, you know, whether they're on stage smashing their guitar and saying "fuck you" indirectly to the audience or whatever.
Yeah.
Still, man, they're making a statement, and you have to appreciate them for that. And I realized that I was becoming a happier person, and I was really able to relate to people better, you know, because I had hang-ups, and I noticed that, you know, everybody's got their hang-ups, you know, but you don't dwell on them, man. There's other things that.
Did you ever play in areas where your soul now won't let you play? Your spirit won't go there anymore?
No. There's no place I wouldn't play, except maybe Detroit. No, just kidding.
I'm from Detroit, man.
I know. Just kidding.
I wouldn't play there either.
No, there isn't any place I wouldn't want to go on this earth. I'm
not talking about that. I mean, has your music ever gone?
Oh yeah, there's areas that I can't.
You did one of the most. I heard a cut that's my soul couldn't take listening to it. Neither could the other guy in the room I was with. It was that one cut on Leftovers, I think.
Little Pieces of Seaweed?
No, that it didn't have vocals. It was the last cut on side 2.
Oh, Chronic Insomnia.
Oh, that thing was just.
Yeah, I know. That scared me when I listened to it. I've got things that are a lot darker than that.
That's just.
All that stuff came out of that area, 1980, 1979.
Yeah.
All that stuff was recorded then. I've got stuff written and recorded that I made on a 4-track that I can't even bring myself to listen to. And you see, I needed to go through that, and everybody needs to go through that. And I was lucky that there were people around me who you know, who knew how to appreciate it, or you know, in a sense.
It maybe helped guide you a little.
Yeah, and I realized that, God, man, look at all this. My whole attitude towards life was a reflection in the music. To tell you, I can't tell you what type of a guy I was. I'll play you the music and you'll know, you know. Now, there's still things inside of me that will come out, you know. I'm not a pure guy, you know.
Yeah.
There's things that will always come out, and you'll always hear them in my music, you know, and in anybody's music for that case. There are places that I can't reach now. I mean, I could sit and write down that Chronic Insomnia was an idea, you know, how to do it. I know I could duplicate that stuff for years, you know. I know exactly how it was done.
Yeah.
It wasn't an accident, you know. But I don't want to go there. There's other places that I can go now. And maybe someday I'll go back there. just to relive a certain episode. But if I do that, it's because I'm putting it in for the benefit of a whole. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I might put that in there as you tell a story. The story has a beginning and an end.
Uh-huh.
You know? The beginning of the story, or maybe the end of the story, or the middle. I don't know. It might need a certain thing. And I've been through those areas where I can dump down and come up with something like that.
You must have had a real interesting upbringing. Your parents must have been supportive.
Oh, my parents were the greatest. God bless them.
To be in touch. A lot of people can't speak about what you're speaking about, or aren't in touch with themselves enough to even comprehend it.
Well, it's there. They just relate to it differently.
Right. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say.
Everybody sees things. Nobody's got anything worse than anybody else. You know, everybody's got the same type of problems, but they're given to you, and you deal with them on the level that you can deal with them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the way I view it. I'm not sitting here and telling you things that I feel are.
Right.
I'm telling you this is the way I see them.
Your observations.
Yeah, these are my observations, and I think that for me to have gotten a gig with David Lee Roth, say, well, I'll put it like this, where people might be able to relate. 5 years ago, I wouldn't have made it. I would not have made it. There's certain pressures involved. There's certain things that I might not have been able to cut. I don't know. Maybe it would have been too good for me, because there's a lot. You got to constantly be on guard in this type of a situation. Okay, I'll give you the drugs are
pretty good.
Are amazing. I mean, the amount of drugs that people approach you with, the women, just the whole sex thing is really at a very exaggerated level, and I've seen people, not that I don't participate in certain things. I'm not going to sit here and tell you
Not the dancers with the flashlights.
Dancers with the flashlights? What's
on
that?
The tables. That's the old David Lee Roth stuff.
Oh, well, a lot of people. I mean, Dave, with Dave, it's fun because I think people view it differently than it really is. There's a lot of women, but it's a lot of fun, and they're having fun and we're having fun, and things like dancers and the flashlights on the tables, nude dancers at the shows.
Yeah.
There's nothing really dangerous involved with this. Whereas if somebody's got a little quirk in them and the opportunity arises, danger can set in,
Yeah.
And
you have to be really in touch to spot it.
You got to be in touch to be able to take the whole thing and have fun with it and not let it completely dictate your whole life.
A lot of guys dream about becoming a rock guitar hero. What are some of the things that they don't see that's there? What are the drawbacks?
Of being a rock guitar hero? Well, I never really saw myself as being a rock guitar hero, so it's hard for me to comment. What I would suspect...
Interesting to ask you that a year from now.
Even in a year from now, there's so many great players. I can't really consider myself a hero. A hero of what? I just play, and what I do, I'm telling you right now, I'm a reckless player. I'm sloppy sometimes. I love playing the guitar. I love to be able to do what I do. It's hard for me at times. It's very hard, at times. And sometimes it's so easy, like I was telling you before, I just lose my mind,
Yeah.
But, what was the point I was getting at? Ah, shit. Sorry.
That's all right.
I was about to make a point.
Keeping track of who you are.
Yeah, but what was I saying right before that? Well, being a rock guitar hero.
Uh-huh.
I just do what I feel I can do best. What's going to happen is, kids are going to listen to what I do. And if they like it, they'll try to cop some of it. And what'll happen is they're going to realize that this is the starting point.
Right.
Because they're going to be 12 years old, 13 years old, and they're going to hear what guys like me are doing. And and they'll say, okay, well, this is where we have to start from. We
Right.
got to take it from way, we got to take it a lot higher than this. So to stroke myself and say I'm a guitar hero will be very embarrassing in the future when somebody comes along and does what I'm doing at a technically an infinite level,
Yeah.
But you take a guy, let's say, who has all the technical prowess, who can play through anything, But like I say, his music is going to be a determination of what his personality is. It's like watching somebody dance.
Yeah.
The way they dance, is them. And I don't mean to say if somebody's a sloppy player, they're a sloppy person. It goes far beyond probably what you or I can analyze. But it's there and it's naked, and some people could probably see right into it. If you got your head on straight enough, I think you could see right into it and see what a person is by the way they play. And not condemn them or not idolize them.
What's your goal?
I can't really say right now. I'm not that I can't say because I don't know, as I just can't say in a guitar magazine. I love music, but it's not. It's there's other things that that are my goal, and music is a great part of it. But to sit here and say, well, my goal is to have my own studio, which I have, to make my own records and stuff like that. That's not my goal because that's petty to me. I can do that if I want. I can make my own music on a cassette player if I want. I could play with somebody else and communicate with them and have a great time. One match and my whole studio's gone.
Yeah.
One axe and my hand is off. One car accident and I might never see you again. I accept that these things are possible. But believe me, I have a great time in life every day. I feel like a happy person.
Yeah.
I'm internally very happy, although there are situations that come to me day in and day out that, bum me out. I can tell you, but to put a goal on something that you can lose doesn't seem worth it to me. I very much appreciate, being able to do what I like, But if you want to laugh, if I wasn't a rock and roll player, if I wasn't a musician, I probably wouldn't mind being a mailman. I mean, look at it. You get to exercise. You get to walk in the sun. You get to walk in the rain. You get to meet people. It's all according to your attitude that's going to make you happy. And my goal in life is to be happy internally, which or to maintain a certain happiness, And plus, and when you do that, you affect other people,
Huh.
And one of the greatest things for me is to shed that and to show to help other people. Well, let me rephrase that. Okay, let me just rephrase that. It's awfully nice to know that you can make somebody else happy.
Right.
And if the only way that you can do that is to first make yourself happy.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way, I'm not going to go out and try to teach anybody anything, because before you can teach somebody something, you got to know where your motives come from.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times I find myself doing things, and then you examine your motives and really try to get to the bottom of what you're doing, and you find out that maybe it wasn't really for the best of somebody else, but it was for the best for yourself.
Yeah.
Which in turn was good because it taught you, just examining that motive. Am I getting too deep for this shit?
No. It's real interesting.
Okay. I don't want to, I don't want to come off sounding like a,
Well, we'll edit it, so it's all right.
Okay, because
I really understand where you're coming from now.
Okay, good.
I've met lots and lots of people, and there's only one person in his life I envy. And it's the guy who lives out in the desert and makes minimum wage and doesn't have a car or a decent sleeping bag. But he's happy.
He's happy,
And there's no confusion in his mind.
Yeah. What's even more enviable, I guess, would be somebody who's got all the money, all the talent, all the fame, and is happy. Because along with all that stuff comes a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
There are people, I'll take Dave, for instance, He seems to me to be a pretty happy guy, He has all the money, he has all the fame, but he, in a sense, it doesn't, he does his thing. You know what I'm saying? And,
You can have all that stuff, but it's most important to have what you are inside.
Yeah. And music could help you to realize what that is.
When you recorded the album, were you always aware of how it would translate to the stage?
Yeah, I knew that in this band.
A lot of the album sounds live.
Oh, it is. A lot of it's live, you know. And then I just doubled a lot of the guitar parts.
Are there songs where you played the guitar all the way through on one track?
Yeah.
Could you give examples?
Yankee Rose, Shy Boy.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'll give you an example. Yankee Rose was played all the way through, and then the whole thing was doubled.
Did you do the exchanges with Dave live?
Yeah.
Wow, that's something.
Yeah. They're funny. We do. When we first started doing that, we sat and just talked with each other for hours like that.
Really?
If you listen to our radio spots and all the, the 4th of July barbecue and all
Uh-huh.
that stuff, that's how we talk to each other.
So for Yankee Rose, did you play the rhythm and lead tracks just as you went through it?
Yeah. And I overdubbed that one little melody lead in the bridge.
What about those four unison notes that come? The unison notes that come out. It's one of the first little phrases you toss in. I can't remember the melody right now, but it sounds double just for a real.
Be-a-doo-dee-da with the bar.
Yeah.
Well, that's just hitting a harmonic and playing the melody.
Oh, you hit the harmonic and play the melody with the bar?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Huh. The wah-wah technique you used for that, was that the same as in, I know you love these questions.
No, I do.
Next Stop Earth?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm surprised you're familiar with that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
I've been a fan for quite a while.
Really?
Uh-huh.
God. Jazz Webber. Fan of Steve Vai's. I would never know him.
It's my business.
Really? Wow.
I'm not as bad as Mulhern is.
Really?
Yeah, he drives around listening to Flexible on his car stereo.
Oh, no. You're kidding.
No.
I'm really surprised, boy. I thought you guys had a lot of stuff to listen to.
You know, from my ears, I like music that goes outside. The more
Yeah.
outside, I mean, I've been listening so long to heavy metal and stuff. You know, I've heard hundreds and hundreds of guys. My ears, I like to listen to weird African shit, pygmy music, South Sea Island music. I like outside. And I think guitar playing is going to get weirder and weirder and weirder.
I think so, too.
And I think you might be one of the big touchstones for that whole. It's hard. Might be hard for you to see. And it's probably not even something you should think about. But from where I am and what I see, that's what it seems like.
Well, great. I'll tell you, Jazz. I never go out. You know, when I go out, it was funny. The other day, I went out and I walked into a club and people started applauding. You know.
Yeah,
it shows you how out of touch
on
I
the
am.
on AM radio in San Jose the other day. The guy played Yankee Rose and he says, "That's Steve Vai, and you're going to be hearing a lot more from that guy." I'm not kidding.
No.
It's on AM radio.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, you know, this is the ultimate gig for
Yeah, it is.
because
I'm
you know,
enjoying it thoroughly, too. I really am. I'm very honored to be here. You know, I might talk and speak very nonchalant about it, but
Yeah.
believe you me, I'm thrilled.
I mean, you know, it's. Do you know if you auditioned other guitar players?
I don't think he did, no.
Had you just met him that one time?
When he called me?
Yeah.
No, I had met him before that.
No, I meant there's a story that you guys were at a club that got raided and
Yeah.
you ended up in jail.
Uh-huh.
Was that the only time you had talked to him before he called you?
I had talked to him before that, but he didn't know who I was. You know, I went to like the whiskey or something. He was hanging out there in the corner. And
Did he listen to your stuff, do you know, before he called you?
yeah, he did.
He must
He
have
said
been
he
aware
did.
of it.
Uh-huh. He listened to my solo album and he listened to the Alcatrazz album.
You know, it's funny. You mentioned a lot of parts being doubled that we didn't spot as being doubled.
I'll go through the whole thing and tell you exactly what I did if you like.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. Yankee Rose was just a rhythm guitar through the whole piece.
Uh-huh.
And then I doubled the whole thing verbatim. And then in the middle, there's that little, it's funny, in the middle, there was this really nice little chordal thing that was arpeggioed, the halftime section. And it was kind of open and bare, and I said, let me try putting a solo on it. I originally wanted to do a solo, and I was sitting in the studio, and I said, "Oh, let me try something weird." I hooked up a couple of delays with some long delay, and they're rolling the tape. I said, "Just let me see if I'm in tune. You know, let me get my volume happening, and I'll roll the tape." And that's what came out. And I said, "Okay, I'm ready. Let's take it." And they took it, and they kept it because they liked it. And that was the way that happened. I said, "Yeah, it's fine. You know, I guess if you like it, you know." I mean, I trust Ted Templeman. And at the end, what we were doing at the end, the solo at the end, Dave said, you should try to do something that's going to be very animated in the video. And he had seen the Alcatrazz video where I had taken the guitar and shoved it in between my legs and, you know, thrown it down, stuff like that. And he thought that was pretty animated.
Yeah.
So he said, do stuff like that. You know, do something on the record here that will allow us to do something in the video that's very
Attention grabbing.
Yeah, attention grabbing. I said, sure, you know, hey, what am I here for?
You did some octaves in that song. We were wondering like what your hand position was for those
Octaves?
Isn't there a part after the solo where you play a few octaves?
I just think it goes there. That part where it goes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's just moving fifths, you know, an octave way.
Yeah.
Are you cold?
No.
No.
Are you?
A little bit. You mind if I turn it on?
Not at all. Which was the opening of Shy Boy recorded real loud? The first sound that comes in.
Well, what I did there is the first sound that comes in, I was in the studio for that, opposed to sitting in the control room or being isolated from my amps. I ran over to the amp in the beginning of that song and, you know, got down and let it feed back like crazy. And then when the band comes in, I ended up doubling that lick, that real fast lick. That's all doubled. And then the whole song is with one guitar. I just played through the whole thing. A couple of punches here and there.
Did you guys do that unison duet live?
Yeah. Yeah. I might have wanted to go back and clean it up a little bit, you know, on my part, just to make it extra tight. But that's all live, that whole thing, you know, from beginning to end. I cleaned up a couple of parts on it. You know, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, yeah, sure, I got into the studio, plugged in, and just wailed. That happens a lot on this record, but there are times where I want to go back and clean up little things, you know.
Yeah.
The solo in Shy Boy is all doubled, except for the very first part.
You smacked a whammy during that to make the notes pulse. Do you recall?
No, not in that one. Which part do you know?
I'd have to play it to show you.
Okay, I don't.
It's sort of like something Beck's been working on lately, where it just sounds like
when we're done here,
like
I'm going to play it.
Like you're tapping it as you're playing it.
Oh yeah, I go like that a lot. I don't have it tight right now.
Right.
But yeah, I do that all the time.
Spank the
yeah, spank the monkey.
Spank the wiggle stick.
Yeah, the wiggle stick. Let me see if I can tighten this up a little bit.
At the end, there's kind of a siren type sound.
Yeah.
What's how many tracks and was the increase in pitch done with the whammy or with the harmonizer?
Well, that was right at that point. I hit my delay, and it goes into like a 792 millisecond delay with a lot of echo on it. And I pull up on the bar, I hit a harmonic, and I'm pulling the bar up. And what happens when the pitch goes up? You know, if the pitch rises slowly, the echo pitch rises too, but it's a little delayed from it.
Right.
So it creates
give it sort of width.
Yeah, a real dissonance.
Yeah.
And then at the end there, where it's going, that's just.
Oh, that's that technique.
You know, and then like that, and that's where it goes.
Right. Right.
So that I just, as we played the song through, I had to step through my echo devices.
When you were recording this stuff, did you do a lot of it alone?
Some things were done alone.
Like, what was the studio environment like?
It was a nice environment with Ted there. Ted seemed to really be extremely helpful. I'm real reluctant to work with producers myself because I feel if anybody's going to do it right, it's going to be me.
Right.
You know, I know what I want to do. Nobody else knows what I want to do.
Yeah.
You know, And I don't mean to sound like an egomaniac, but that's just the way it is. I feel like, and I've worked with, a few producers that knew how to get that happening. There are times where I wanted to do things over where Ted liked it,
Yeah.
and, we had our differences here and there, but for the most part, I learned a lot from working with the cat. He has a very raw street approach to things to get that sound coming through the speakers like that. But in the actual production of it, the sounds are there,
Your sounds came out of the amp, right? You didn't doctor stuff up afterwards.
Yeah, some of it was doctored up afterwards.
Huh.
There's a couple of songs where the tone was put through maybe a pitch bend, a little harmonizer.
Yeah.
But there's some really nice rack gear that I have now that I use in the studio. One of them is this Eventide SP 2016.
Signal processor.
Yeah, signal processor.
What's that good for?
It has it has a variety of effects on it. You can make your own effects. It does everything. It's got auto panning, stereo chorusing, stereo flanging, big rooms, little rooms, robot sounds. It has this one patch called Dual Robots. It's ridiculous. It's really amazing.
Cartoon sounds.
Yeah, and there's some really, if you want to talk about my live setup later, what I'm going to have.
What might be better is if we just got a signal chain diagram for the studio and for stage. That saves a lot of space. And you've seen
It'd be really hard to, because right now as we speak at this very moment, Bob Bradshaw is building my rack. Work hard, Bob. And it's really complicated. I can explain to you, in street talk how it works. My rack for live. Let me finish going through the songs.
Let's do those.
Okay, so Shy Boy, I overdubbed the solo, the second part of the solo, the real fast thing,
right?
And I doubled it. You can hear it when it comes in. It's panned left and right. So when I did the original track, I just played along and stopped. I did the first part of the solo on the original track and then stopped and came in again. I'm Easy. That's funny the way that came out.
Nice horn arrangement you did.
Thank you.
Yeah. You directed those guys too?
Yeah. Sat in the studio with
yeah.
There's pictures of it. It was
did
a lot of fun.
Did you write out their charts?
Well, I wrote the score and I had a copy from the chart with parts.
I'd love to run that picture if we can get a copy. You know who took it?
I think I have it. Let me see. No, it was just like, pictures in the studio. Oh, I'll have to ask you where they are.
Okay.
But it's funny, you see me sitting there with this. I'm sitting in this studio with these snakeskin pants on, right? My hair flipped out, sitting in this director's chair with a baton in one hand, a big score in the other, and 12 of New York's best studio blowers, sitting there. I'm going, okay, now can you make this a little more staccato over here? It was fun. Well,
You must have got a kick out of it.
I did Berkeley training. I've always written big band charts. I love doing it.
Huh.
I have a stack of orchestra scores that I'm waiting to hear one of these days when I get the money to have them done. And that was a pretty straight ahead arrangement.
Yeah.
I've got some stuff that sounds really bizarre. But the guitar tone on that, I originally was playing a clean guitar through the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it was the tinkly clean guitar that you hear in there, on like the left side of the speaker or something, whatever.
The comping?
Yeah, the whole comping thing, but it was a lot more complicated. It was real voice leading and a lot of movement. So then Ted thought that maybe he gave me the idea to maybe put blues fills on a bluesy sounding guitar over the whole thing, as with Dave. So we recorded the track. I recorded the rhythm guitar, the comp guitar, which is really laid back. And then we recorded the horns. And then I went in and just did the guitar on top of it. That's my Pink Jackson. That tone and everything I play on that is basically, how can I put it? It's a reflection of Ted Templeman getting me to do it. Because I always view myself as being the worst blues player. in the
Really?
world. Yeah, I'd never think I could play blues at all. When I'm sitting there trying to play the blues, I'm saying to myself, going, "This isn't working. This isn't happening. Wait a minute,
Really?
what are you doing here?" You know. I mean, I'm enjoying it in a sense, you know, but being an authentic blues player, I am not. So while I'm doing it, it's a lot harder. It seems like it's a lot harder and a lot less authentic than when I listen back.
Yeah.
Because when I listened back to it, I said, "Hey, it's not too bad."
Yeah.
You know, I thought it was fun. And Ted's going, "It sounds good. Keep going." You know. So I said, "Okay," and I just did it. Ladies' Night in Buffalo. I told you how that went.
Yeah.
Going crazy. Going crazy is just one pass all the way through the whole thing, except the solo.
Mhm.
You know, because I wanted to have a rhythm guitar underneath the solo, so I just played along and overdubbed the solo. Tobacco Road is one time all the way through Blap.
Whose idea was it to do that, Dave's?
Well, we had this. We were in the basement learning songs in the beginning, and I'm a real big Motown fan. You know, I love Motown. It's sing-songy stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, like what I do in my spare time if I'm going to listen to music is I listen to Joe Jackson. You know what I'm saying, or something like
Really?
that. That's the type of stuff I like. Or that's the phase I'm in right now.
Mhm.
Before I went out and bought a bunch of Frank Sinatra albums. You know.
That's
Did you ever hear
life.
Frank Sinatra with Count Basie?
Yeah. Wasn't it great?
Incredible stuff, man. Live at the Sands,
Yeah.
conducted and arranged by Quincy.
You know, I never heard
It's
that.
an incredible album, man. It's real big band
I just
stuff.
bought a big band record with Judy Garland singing the hits. I picked it up today down at Tower.
Really,
Yeah, I love that stuff.
I love it. It's so big. It's like heavy metal in a sense. You know, it's very. There's a lot of energy to
Yeah.
it. I love it. I've always loved big band stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I'm glad I got to hear this chart that I wrote. Uh, so we were sitting there and we decided to learn all these old songs. You know, we had like 50 songs, a list of like 50 songs of all these great old classics. You know, and Tobacco Road seemed to sound pretty good. We just enjoyed playing it. It was such a rocker.
Uh-huh.
Dave said, "Shit, let's put it on the record."
Um, did the harmonics in that solo in that tune come from gripping the pick real close to the point?
Yeah. One of the most uncanny things that ever happened to me in the studio was when we were recording Tobacco Road. The very last lick, the last note, goes, "In the middle of Tobacco Road," or whatever it is, the last line that he sings.
Right.
If you listen to the guitar says tobacco. The bar goes, "Boo, tobacco," you know? And it
Wow.
says right along with Dave when he says tobacco. It'll never happen again in a million years. I got to play it for you, okay? I hope you don't mind.
No, not at all. Ironic.
Then there's Elephant Gun.
That has one of the most Vi-like characteristics of that song.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's sort of like the high energy approach. You know?
Are you using some oddball scales in there?
No, it's all in the key. It's all doubled. That whole thing is the way I did that is literally one time through, and I doubled it one time through. You know,
So
maybe I did it on the second
you're
time.
not punching in on these.
No, I didn't. Yeah, I am punching on some of them, but like Elephant Gun, I knew exactly what I was playing the whole time through from beginning to end.
Uh-huh.
So I just doubled it, and it was really funny. We stopped once. We were at a rush to finish it. We had like another few minutes in the studio before Cyndi Lauper had her time booked or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know, you know, because we were just doing guitar overdubs. I said, let me double this. I know what it's going to sound like, and nobody thought I could do it. He said, we got 5 minutes here. You can't do it. It's going to take too long. I said, just let me try it. Roll the tape. Plugged in, roll the tape, and boom, it's done.
You must have phenomenal memory.
No, I just work really hard. I got a good memory, but it's short. But that was Elephant Gun. But we worked a lot of it out in the basement. A lot of stuff in there Bill and I are doing together.
Is this the basement at Dave's dad's house?
It's Dave's house now.
Really?
Big Trouble was basically the same thing. I did it, we did it with the band. I did it with the band, and I just doubled it. And, I might have stopped and punched a couple of things. There was one lick that I just couldn't get quite right. I had to do it a couple of times in the bridge section. And the solo on that was another one. I knew what I was going to do. And we did it the first time, the first take. I said, Ted, what do you think of this? Tape's rolling. I did the solo, and it was a little sloppy here and there. And he goes, that's great. He goes, that's incredible. Keep it. I said, no, I can do it better. I can do it better. And he said, well, just keep it. It sounds great.
That's how it got there.
Yep. And I knew what I was going to do. As a matter of fact, we did do it again. And I did the same thing, but the parts of it were cleaned up. But I had a blast doing that solo. It always moves me. Bump and Grind was funny. That was all doubled. The whole track on that is doubled.
What's going on in the solo, the very first thing you hear?
You take a scruffy pick and you scratch it across the high strings, and it goes wee, 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 wee. That's the Ponies on Ice solo. It sounds like Ponies on Ice.
Is there a part?
And then you take this one thing where you take the B string.
And you pull it off the fingerboard?
Yeah. And then I ran up to the microphone stand and went with the volume control.
With the mic stand.
The solo, it goes scratch, 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 wee, wee, wee,
Right,
wee,
right.
and it goes.
Wow.
That's there was a microphone stand in the studio.
Uh-huh.
I said, what the heck? And I went up to the microphone stand and I went. Ooh.
And you ran your strings across it?
Yeah, my strings across it with the volume control, so the echo would go. Originally, it started out completely different, but it was a lot of hammering stuff, and I wanted to stay away from that a little bit. You know what I mean?
Are there many hammers on this album?
Oh, there's a couple of
things with Billy.
A couple of bandsaws, but Big Trouble, the end, the whole last part where it plays really fast. Mm-hmm. That's all hammer stuff.
What can you say about That's Life? Cool intro.
Cool intro, yeah, I guess.
No, I like the song.
Yeah.
But you really had a laid-back role. Did you ever...
Well, you should see the arrangement that we did beforehand.
I wondered if there was...
It was completely balls to the walls. I was like, really rocking it out.
Maybe that's the way it'll be on stage, huh?
That's the way we decided to do it on stage.
All right.
And that's if we're probably not going to do the song for the first part of the tour.
No, that's a pretty short album, about 33 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Were there other songs completed that didn't go on?
Yeah. We had quite a few. There was one that almost made it. It was a pretty good song. But we wanted to print the album very hot, at a very hot level in the disc.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do that, you have to keep it short, because the louder you cut and the more bottom that you put on a record, the deeper the grooves are.
I can't wait to hear that thing on CD.
Should sound pretty good.
Yeah, I think so. Was it recorded digitally?
No. It's recorded on I think it was actually, Jazz, I'm not sure what machine it was recorded on.
Did Dave sing on any of the basic tracks? Were any of those keepers?
Yeah, we'll keep about 40 or 50% of it.
Really?
Yeah. This goes in and, this is a completely different approach to recording than I've ever done.
Uh-huh.
I'm used to sitting in the studio and tweaking and playing and punching and tweaking some more and EQing some more and, punching again and sitting back, punching some more.
And this was
is get in there and kill the guy with the ball, man.
How long do you think it took to make the album?
Well, it took more time than it took less time than Alcatrazz, sure. But it took more time than the average like Van Halen record, because we had like horns to do and stuff like that. That takes more time.
It's really something.
But it's different, I was at times I didn't know if I liked it or not, things that I had done or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't quite aware, I wasn't quite used to approaching it that way. And then I realized, boy, this is fun.
Yeah.
It's really fun, just get in there and do it.
Dave's always gone for that primal energy.
Yeah, and it's there, it's really there, and it really works that way. And I feel like I've been pretty successful at getting that energy to a degree, by getting a different type of energy, but still an energy that's there. Like, you take a song like the Attitude Song or Call It Sleep or something like that. It's a different energy, but it's there. you know, and it's in the studio and it's punched. And
Yeah.
but with this boy, it's just let's go play.
How long were you with Alcatrazz?
A year.
Do you remember the what month to what?
Yeah, July to July,
It's 84 to
or like
5.
from like July to August or September. That's when I started working with Dave.
Did you learn anything working with Eddie Kramer?
Yeah,
You know, he's got that Hendrix. He was the guy that did Hendrix.
yeah, I know.
He worked on Electric Ladyland, didn't
Yeah, I've done interviews in the past where I said I really hated the production on the Alcatrazz record, and I never meant to say anything against Eddie Kramer.
he?
Okay, what I'd say is I would have done things differently, but that doesn't mean anything. It
Right.
doesn't mean that it's better or worse. You know, Eddie
But it was
has a.
glossier than what people are accustomed to hearing you do.
It
You
was
know,
what?
glossier. It was more.
Yeah. It's what they're used to now, from the stuff now.
Oh, now you're back on track here.
Yeah, and anything before that I did on an 8-track,
Uh-huh.
that people know about. And the thing is Eddie has a real, Eddie Kramer has a real way of approaching things in a very, I'll say caveman, but I don't mean that, in a bad sense, I mean, but just a very raw rock and roll attitude
Uh-huh.
way of approaching things, like he uses a certain type of machine because it's what he's used to. He knows what it sounds like. He'll go for a certain EQ because that's what he's used to,
Yeah.
He uses a certain piece of outboard gear that might be an analog piece opposed to a digital piece because that's what he likes and that's what he's used to hearing, And if you want to have a rock and roll sounding record, the old time, I don't want to say old time, but a very raw sound like that, then he's a guy to get, But if
Yeah.
you want a very polished type of a thing, then maybe he's not the guy.
Did you do you feel like you gained much from being in Alcatrazz?
I sure did. I gained much from every event, you know.
Was there ever any desire for you to play more in a vein like Yngwie?
I don't know. I never asked them. I never said, do you think I should, would you like to hear me play more like Yngwie? Because,
Your lighter shade of green. Is that finger tapping towards the end there?
yeah, it's all hand over hand stuff. It goes like this.
Your hands cross over?
Yeah. Let's see if I can remember.
That's really cool.
Oh, yeah. I forgot. Yeah, that's it.
So that whole song is that hands-on fingerboard thing.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Wow, that is cool.
Nice. You never know. Then it goes like this, something like this, that type of stuff.
Could you say what's involved with matching the guitar to voices like in So Happy? That is so weird. And you did it with Frank too, I remember in the beginning.
You want to know what's involved with it?
Is it a lot of work?
Yeah, it takes a complete madman to sit and do that because it's.
Do you try to match the pitch with the guitar?
Oh, that's what you have to do. It's so time consuming and it is so. It's an act of discipline. It's I mean, I got closer to God trying to do that stuff, man, because it's so meticulous. I mean, I went out on a limb. I wanted to be so meticulous about it that I sat and would spend a lot of time on every little phrase,
Mm-hmm.
And so it takes a lot of patience.
In Junkie, you have an incredible presence in the solo. It sounds like, I might be mistaken, but it sounds like you can hear the actual picks hitting the strings.
Yeah. Oh,
Is
yeah.
that
Because it was mixed with no effects. There's hardly any reverb.
But did you have a mic on the guitar itself?
No. That was just going right into a Carvin. The Carvin amps have a certain EQ on them that allow you to accentuate pick noise if you want. Certain those EQs that where the pick noise is at, and that's why it sounds like that. That's all in the amp, I think.
What's the sort of motorcycle type effect that you start using Chronic Insomnia at the beginning?
That's 12 backwards guitars.
Oh, man.
All with the bar and stuff.
Okay, in Call It Sleep, you use a harmonic technique. You jump octaves. Do you remember how that was?
Just trying to think what part.
Sorry.
Is it in the loud part of the solo?
No. It's in the part that almost sounds like an acoustic guitar.
Oh.
It's really got a lot of finesse.
And I was using harmonics with the pick.
Either that or some real radical bends. It seems to go up there.
You mind if I play it?
No, no.
You show me what you're talking about.
Yeah. Who were the people you dedicated that to? Friends of yours?
Yeah, people that I went to high school with that met with unfortunate accidents.
Did you write that afterwards?
I wrote that song when I was in high school.
It's got a lot of emotion in it.
Yeah, it was. So did the people that it was dedicated to. Where I listened back and said, "Holy mackerel, did I do that?" Because while I was doing it, I wasn't really thinking or feeling.
Yeah.
I was just saying, "Oh, I bet this will sound good," I bet this will be funny, or something like that. And I listened back and I said, "Wow, this really is saying something, even to me."
Yeah.
We're not running. Are we rolling right now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Should I turn it off?
No. Let it roll. Let it roll. Let me just find a way of putting this without. A lot of times, when I listen back to something that I've done, it doesn't sound like something that I thought I was capable of doing. I don't mean to make that sound like, wow, that's fast or that's cool or whatever.
Yeah.
But your own music speaks to you in different ways than it speaks to other people. You know what I'm saying? Or at least that's the case with me. I listen to something I do, and sometimes it makes me happy, it makes me sad, it makes me laugh, it makes me cry.
Yeah.
But there's something in there that I know that I was totally incapable of, and it didn't come from me, because I know that while I'm doing it, I'm not thinking of what I'm feeling when I'm listening to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Bob Marley expressed it real well. One time Donald Kinsey asked him where songs came from. And he said, you can't write a song. All songs are in the air, and just certain people can pull them out.
Yeah. I think that everybody can pull them out when they let there's certain things in their own mind that keeps them from pulling them out. But it's all just in your mind.
The distractions of life.
Yeah. Things like, oh my God, should I play fast now? Things like, oh my, do I look good enough up here?
You mentioned before you play your best and you're not thinking about it at all.
Yeah. Because then there's more of an open line to that infinite warehouse of where all the songs come from. That's what I would suspect.
Yeah.
Because I can't sit here and tell you, that I did that stuff. Because I feel like a totally normal guy. Yeah. To a degree, everybody feels individual in their own way. If I walk out on the street and I meet a friend of mine, he's my friend. I'm Steve. He's Marty. He's Roy. He's Joe. And we're normal guys. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
When I listen to the music that we create or that I create, or that anybody creates, I say, this is a gift. This is a gift to me, through me. That's the way I feel about it. Right. I don't care what anybody thinks about me saying that. That's the way I feel about it. And I can't I'm trying not to, let my ego think that it's me that's doing it.
Right.
Because that's where all the problems come in.
But the gift is a responsibility.
Yeah, it's a responsibility. Well, it's a responsibility to the... How can I... Sure, I mean, what it is, it's for you to learn and for you to grow. You know what I'm saying? It's when you say it's a responsibility, what do you mean? It's like, it's a responsibility for me to have to record it so other people can hear it?
Yeah.
In a sense, it could be looked at like that. It could be looked at that way. But then again, I think that all the things that are given to you are for you to benefit.
Right.
Right. But for your mind to benefit, for your happiness to benefit. Maybe not so much for, your ego gratification. And a lot of times, it's not right for the people to have the talent for it to get out there. It might not be the best thing for them.
By responsibility, I mean it's something that if you have to protect. You've seen players who've lost it because they've gotten so into smack or coke or whatever, and they...
Well, see, what I think that is, it's a generation of energy in different areas. Like everybody has an energy that they dissipate into a certain area. And my definition of genius is someone who is able to take that energy and concentrate it on something. That's what a genius is to me.
Right.
You know, that's all it is. Somebody who can, I mean, you can be in a mental institution and be a genius.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But what it is, it's the ability to sit and do something, read something, and have all your consciousness on that one thing. That's the most amazing thing about Frank Zappa that I learned. You know, when he's doing something, he's doing that thing.
Right.
So a lot of times, like when I was transcribing music for Frank, I was doing nothing but concentrating. It was a meditation. You know, it was a complete, utter meditation on something. And your mind goes into different realms when you do that type of thing.
Absolutely. There's no time or space.
There isn't. There had been times. Now I'm telling you, I must have been 18 years old, and it happened to me. You know, it was like the first few times it happened. Actually, it happened to me once when I was really, really young. Twice when I was really young. But I'd be sitting there and I'd be concentrating on something. I don't want this to sound like I'm telling you that I'm a genius, you know. But everybody has their moments where their concentration is, you know. Because I can hardly read a book and get anything out of it. But I'd be sitting there concentrating, and Pat, I can't explain to you what happens. It's you lose all complete, just you lose your realm of thought, everything, you know, time, just your whole where you are.
I know that happens to me when I'm writing sometimes.
You're concentrating.
You're in a whole nother.
What it is, it's the stilling of the mind, you know, and that's what meditation is all about.
Right.
And somebody, you know, like a yogi might sit.
When you're done, it feels like 1 o'clock, and then it says 3:30.
Yeah.
That happens.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And what happens, I think, a lot is when you start putting forth product through these, I'll say, quote, meditational periods. Okay. It's by far outstanding material, okay, to certain people, you know, but it's respected, you know, your stuff is respected. And this is where the ego comes in. People get carried away, and they think that, well, this is great, I'm capable of this, you know, this is great, well, you know, and then you start resting on your laurels, or whatever.
We've seen that, haven't we?
Yeah, I've seen it happen, and I'm trying to fight against it, and, you know, this is where things like press could help you, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But what happens later on to some people, I suspect, is that they take that energy and they put it in different areas. Taking drugs and getting wasted takes a lot of energy, man. You know, and sitting and just thinking about a million different things takes a lot of energy. Trying to run a business and play the guitar takes a lot of energy. You know, trying to work in a hot dog stand and play the drums takes a lot of energy, you know. I would say if there are kids out there that really, really want to be serious musicians, or that really feel like they are serious musicians, then all I did was live and eat, breathe music. I never thought about the how or the why, or where anything was going to come from. You know, I've had students who I felt could be great musicians, and who are great musicians, but they don't really have a chance to develop that talent, you know, because they feel, they say, I can't, or I won't, or I wish, or I want.
Yeah.
I never wanted to be a musician. I always was, you know. From the very beginning, I never thought about being a musician.
Mm-hmm.
People say, when did you get involved with music? I don't know. It must have been lifetimes ago.
Yeah.
But, when I you know, came out of the chute, I must have had a pair of dark glasses on and you know, a Strat in one hand and a tattoo in the other. I don't know, you know, but I knew that I was a musician. Whether I eat in the street, I have no choice, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I could do anything and be happy, but I'd always be a musician. I never wanted it. When you want something, to me, I always felt like when I wanted something, it means I didn't have it, or
maybe it's not
I didn't
necessary.
need it. Right. There are needs in life. You need to eat. You know, you need to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you need to be creative. That's a need in every human. Everything else you want, you know, or you wish, you know.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah, and I try to, oh, that's good. And I try to, and it's hard not to, it's very easy for me to sit here and tell you these things,
Yeah.
but it's hard for me to live by it, boy. Don't think that I'm not a flake at times. Boy, oh boy, can I be flaky.
Yeah.
Really. This is just the way Steve I looks at things.
How long did you spend on the Crossroads project?
Doing the shooting took 7 15-hour days just for my scene.
Wow.
Yeah. There was a lot that was cut out
Mm-hmm.
just at the time. And the actual music, I guess I went in about 4 days or so. Because there's a lot of stuff on there that you're not hearing. There was another whole battle that went on before Ralph enters the room.
Yeah.
I'd like to say something. There was somebody who worked on that movie, who worked in the guitar department, who helped Ralph out a lot, was a pretty big part of the music, of the guitar music in the movie, is actually, is playing in the movie. You hear him, he's on the soundtrack in the movie, not the soundtrack album, and didn't get any credit for it. And that's Arlen Roth.
Yeah.
I'd like to say that Arlen worked really hard on that movie, and I feel, was a big part of what Ralph did. And I don't know why he didn't get any credit, but I worked with him on the whole thing, and I loved working with the guy.
Huh. I'll put that in there.
Good.
What was the extent of your involvement with Epidemics?
I was in New York doing a show at my father's place, and I'm friends.
Your dad's
with,
place?
My father's place is a club.
Oh,
on Long Island.
Sorry, man. I'm a Detroiter. We never go to New York. Too dangerous.
Yeah, I know. Too dangerous. You're from Detroit. So I was there, and I'm friends with Shankar.
Right.
And we always tried to hook up, and he was
Yeah.
doing this little independent project all by himself. And he called me up and asked me if I'd come in. So in one day, I did one night or like 2 nights,
okay.
2, 3 or 4 hour sessions. I just read through all the charts real fast and threw the stuff down. That was it.
What about Public Image?
That was a little different.
You didn't get your name on that album, did you?
Nobody did.
Yeah,
Because,
I didn't like that.
Well, that was an approach that they took.
Yeah.
Very generic approach.
Yeah, but as soon as you hear it, you know who it is.
So I don't really mind. I went to
Yeah.
the Public Image concert the other night, and I almost got beat up 3 or 4 times.
Really?
Yeah, nobody knew who I was or anything. But I really enjoyed doing that project. I loved it, and I think some of my best playing is on that album.
Really? Did you
Yeah.
spend much time with it?
No, everything was like 1, 2 takes. I was out on the road with Alcatrazz, and Bill Laswell was doing the
Right.
production, and he called up and said, "Hey, why don't you come in and do these guitar parts?" And I was out on the road. I said, "Sure, but when am I going to do it?" So, like, if I had one day off someplace,
Yeah.
I'd have to fly after the gig to New York from
Oh,
Texas.
Man.
Play that day in the studio, and I guess I did the whole thing in about 4 days or so, 4 or 5 days.
That's some fine stuff on there.
Thanks. I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed working with Lydon. I don't know why, but he just told me the other day that the record company was making the record. They were taking it off the market, which I think is a shame because it's good stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
That's weird. Do you have any other studio projects in the works with stuff that's coming out?
Well, working with Dave takes up all my time, but I will be releasing a solo album.
Oh, great.
Probably at the end of the tour.
This be like Son of Flexible?
No, it's not going to be as diverse as Flexible. It's going to be, yeah, it's called Rubber Leftovers. No, yeah. It's going to be a guitar record, pretty much. There'll be some vocal stuff on it. It's not going to be anything too commercial, but then again, I think guitar players will like it, and musicians will probably pick it up.
Let me see. Would you mind explaining to a kid? I was thinking of your song, Ladies Night in Buffalo, the beginning of the solo when you had that beautiful finger vibrato. And I was wondering if you could give suggestions to a young player how to develop that.
Well, what I used to do is sit down and hit a note
Uh-huh.
and take the bar and try to play a melody with one note with the bar. You know
Was
what I'm
that
saying?
stuff done with the bar? And that's all?
Yeah, we're at it. It's like,
Oh, man.
it's everything I do is with the bar. Are you kidding? Did you ever hear me play Acoustic?
No, I haven't.
You asked me a question.
Oh, about
Ladies' Night in
vibrato.
Buffalo, yeah. Let's see if I can remember what it is. So that's all I got.
Yeah,
first part.
I thought that was finger vibrato.
Well, the last note is, I think that's, so by going up like that and do that.
Yeah. Would you describe your technique for picking quickly, speed picking?
Yeah, very sloppy. It's just I just kind of like rest my wrist back here and
What kind of strokes are you using? Up and down strokes?
yeah, it's basically up and down. There's the
It's the pick's hitting the strings at an angle, huh?
is it?
Looks like it.
I guess it changes. If I wanted to do something where I was just
Yeah.
that's all strict picking, but if I wanted to do it, I don't need to pick at all.
How fast can you play in
I
terms
don't
of
know.
notes?
It's according to what the tempo is. I'm not very fast. I'm not as fast as some of the guys that are out there.
Huh.
I can't play as fast as I guess I could if I was to practice. Let me tell you, if I was to sit and practice as much as I'd like to,
Uh-huh.
it would, I could play a lot faster than I would be able to play a lot faster than I do. I could visualize in my mind what the next step to guitar playing is. I
Yeah?
really can. I can visualize what it would be, or what a next step could be.
What do you think it might be?
I can't explain it. It's an approach to the guitar that's where there's no physical limitations, except of course the impossible ones.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas it's speed, it'll take a certain personality to do this. This kid might be in kindergarten or whatever, but it's going to take a certain attitude and approach towards the guitar. And somebody's going to come along and they're going to think of something like speed in a completely different attitude than what everybody thinks of it as now. Speed is just going to be a silly device to them to make a real serious point. Not that not to say that there are guitarists who do that now, but I mean really ultimate speed where
Do you see it more as just a total tearing up of the barriers and the scales we use?
Yeah.
The Western way we think?
one aspect of it. There's that approach, where you just, with it,
Yeah.
that whole thing, stuff like that, And then
It could almost sound like a mistake to someone who's.
yeah, well, that was real sloppy. It was,
Yeah.
It's an explanation, but I could see it. It's really hard for me to explain. I could even see myself doing it, but it would just take total concentration for a long period of time to develop this technique. I don't know what I can call it, but it would be a new technique. It would be a new approach because it would be a completely different attitude. Because that's what stems up, That's what is original in a person's playing is their attitude, You approach an instrument a certain way with a certain frame of mind, and you're going to do things that nobody else is doing. Whether it be, unequivocal speed, whether it be vibrato bar work, or whether it be a new device that could be put on a guitar that hasn't been made yet,
Uh-huh.
Whether it's a new piece of outboard gear that's going to be put into a new line of amps that nobody has. I don't know. It could be anything, but it will take the imagination and the right attitude for somebody to do it and be original at it. And then, of course, everybody will jump on it.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see when you see somebody trying to play like somebody else. Let's say you have a really fast guitar player, that's got it all down, can play extremely fast. and he's got a certain tone that sounds great, and he's got it all down, and he's doing something completely new. Well, a lot of people are going to jump on it. Jumping on it right away and copying it verbatim shows you where, where they're standing in a sense. It's an insecurity statement in a sense. I don't want to freak anybody out, but that's the way I see it.
Yeah.
It's an insecurity statement. It's saying that I can't come up with things on my own. I gotta grab this. Now, not to say that it's not right to, that it's not beneficial to cop somebody else's stuff. I mean, I've copped a lot of Hendrix stuff. That's how I got the basic foundation of my whole way of approaching chords.
Yeah.
Is through Hendrix. But there's a fine line between inspiration and loss of identity.
Right.
That's one of the things I think kids should be really careful of. Ask yourself. You'll always know. This right when you're doing it, there's a little voice that's telling you whether it's the right thing to do or not. Or whether you're doing too much of it or not too much. You got to listen to that voice and believe it. It's always fun to do what somebody else is doing and cop it and be able to even play faster than them.
Yeah.
Or even more vibrato than them. But still, you're better than that. Because you're your own person and you can be original with something. Those other people's techniques should be your own devices to develop your own style and not your loss of identity, so to speak.
Well stated, man.
Do you ever feel like there's just too much you want to do?
Yeah.
Like I'd like to do a record of all acoustic stuff.
I'd like to see you do a film score.
Do you know how many offers I've gotten for film scores? Oh man, every once a month since Crossroads, somebody has called me and asked me to do film score. I just had to turn down acting gigs too because we're going on tour. But I think that's going to be fun when I get into that. I'm building a small studio to take on the road. It's going to have it's going to have a Fox 8-track. It's going to be this big,
Where can we get a signal chain thing that you used in the studio? Do you have a guy who can draw that for us?
Well, I can just tell you. What I did was I went from... You want to turn it on?
Yeah.
All I used for my live setup was I went directly into the amps and split the amps in stereo with a Roland 3000 delay. So it's just
on
stereo.
both or one?
On one. No, on them both.
Okay.
I used it to split them.
Okay.
And then just mic'd it from there. Maybe I went into a Boss overdrive or something. And then as it came into the board, we added a little echo on it. I used this, and a little AMS on a couple of things. That's it.
Did you mostly keep the amps at the same settings?
No. Things changed. Like, the sound that I used on I'm Easy would be different than what I used on Buffalo or Shy Boy, different.
Do you want to say something as to, like, what's the appeal of Carvin amps? First,
Well, to be honest, the Carvins, when I started using them, I wanted to stay away from, like, Marshalls because they had a very identifiable sound.
Right.
Because everybody was using them. And the way I looked at it, from my caveman mentality back then, and the way that I didn't have any money to buy gear and, outboard effects, I wanted an amp that I could EQ. The Marshalls never seemed to have enough EQ on them.
Yeah.
I wanted one that I could EQ and one that had reverb on it. Even though most amplifiers that have reverb aren't as good as your rack mountable reverbs that you can buy nowadays.
Right.
But and I listened to the Carvin. Frank had some Carvins when I was with him, and they were everything I needed in an amp. I wasn't playing very loud, ballsy stuff at the time, but when I started to, they were even capable of doing that. And as my tastes grew, I had them modified a little bit. And the good thing about them is they have the effects loop in the back, so you can use all your effects, all your rack mountable effects, and have absolutely no noise because the effects work on the preamp section opposed to the amplifier section of the amplifier, which you can't do with a Marshall without having to go, have somebody work on it and stuff. Like right now, I can have anything I want.
Yeah.
You know, and I use the Carvins for some things. You know, on stage I'm using them. I'm using two Carvins for my for my clean setup. You know, which will be on all the time, really clean. You know, I have all my loud stuff and real raunchy stuff coming out of these Marshalls. Then out of the clean stuff is the Carvins. And I got a device that, you know, I got a switcher that if I want some more grunt out of the Carvins, I can pop them in. I think that if a kid's going to go out and buy an amp and he wants a lot of versatility and something that's not going to back him into a corner later on, check out the Carvins. You know, they're not bad. This tape, I mean, this song was all done strictly on a Carvin amp.
Mm-hmm.
Directly, and there's no effects. There's a little bit of echo. I used a little bit of echo and a little bit of reverb.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it for the whole thing.
Did you do any DI on the album?
I might have mixed a little bit of DI in with the guitar sound on Buffalo. No, not on Buffalo. On Easy.
Okay. The role of Steve Vai as well, maybe as quirky as at that time.
Yeah, it's a personal thing. I mean, you listen to the record. I have people come up to me. They want to meet me because they want to know who's the weirdo that had the nerve to put Details of 10 and There's Something Dead in here. Who did that and at the same time is playing the solo in Big Trouble or something like that, you know? And they want to see this guy who's doing this weird stuff.
Yeah.
Everybody is, you have a sense of humor. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everybody, all the musicians who are reading this have a sense of humor. Apply it to your music and you'll come up with the same thing. You know, maybe not exactly the same thing, but the same type of thing. That's where all the diversity comes from, you know?
Yeah, that's the real appealing thing. That's what made Eddie so interesting to me.
Yeah.
He has a sense of humor.
He does. It's in his personality. I mean, I know
Yeah.
that guy. And he's always been nice to me.
Yeah.
You know?
He's always been nice to me.
Yeah. I always hope that someday, you know, I will. Well, let me put it like this: it would have been nice to see Dave and Eddie get together and do a show one day in the future. You know?
It would.
You know, and the breaking up of that band is just like any band breaking up. It's just that they're at such a mega level. There's a big deal that's made out of it.
Yeah.
You know? And I love working with Dave. That's all I can say. You know?
Yeah.
He's a madman. He's incredibly.
You know, maybe it's really a real good thing that he lost his movie thing because it'll make him concentrate on his music.
It's perfect that it happened because it wouldn't have been able to do it. There's funny circumstances around it. You know, the mansion that they rented to do it all in was owned by one of who's that guy from the Philippines?
Marco?
One of Marcos's lovers. So it was his mansion, and right when they were about to do the filming, if the filming would have happened, and then make the movie with the guys in the band, then, you know.
Yeah.
Otherwise, just putting these nobodies. If somebody shoots up to stardom without anything to stand on, it won't be accepted. You know, people almost regret, well, why is this guy there now out of nowhere, you know, because he got this gig or something. He's not worth it or whatever. You know, a lot of people might see it like that. Whereas we're going to go out there and we got to prove ourselves. You know, I know that every single thing that I do is going to be under a microscope.
Yeah.
You know, but I can't think of that or else it's not going to allow me to act my best.
All you can be is yourself.
Yeah. I was nervous for about a minute. And then I said, fuck this. I'm not going to be nervous anymore. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
You know, it's not worth my energy. A lot of energy goes into being nervous.
About 2 years before the interview you've just heard, the magazine hired Steve to transcribe Eddie Van Halen's Eruption guitar solo. With Steve's approval, I've posted high-res scans of this 7-page handwritten document in my online Talking Guitar Substack magazine. So if you're interested in seeing a prime example of Steve's work as a transcriber, the link is in the write-up below. Also, Steve and I did another interview in 1988 when he recorded David Lee Roth's Skyscraper Secrets. If you'd like to hear it, it's already posted in my Talking Guitar YouTube channel. Before signing off, I'd like to thank Steve Vai for allowing me to post this interview. I'd also like to thank my podcast producer, Nick Hunt, and the fine folks at the UNC Southern Folklife Collection. This podcast is copyright 2025 by Jazz Obrecht. See you next time, and thanks for tuning in.